There's still a chance for them on the back of what we saw in the game against the Crusaders that they'll make the top
Well, you
six.
look at the stats, possession, the territory, all in favour of the Blues. Go well, win these games, get into the goddamn playoffs.
We're sticking on you once we get these results, eh?
Do, man, absolutely. I welcome it. They got the Brumbies away, then they got the Chiefs. And somehow they've got to win one of those.
How? The Brumbies are firming. It's probably
this
up
is
there with the Chiefs and the Crusaders.
Mary, I'm doing JD5. I'm throwing the Hurricanes a Hail Mary.
This is your silly...
Welcome to the DSPN.
Team New Zealand's in trouble.
Oh, he's done it again, Ricky Herbert.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin Devlin, Lachlan Waugh, another edition of the DSPN. Rugby today. Normally we do our Super Rugby Roundup wrap-up on a Monday, but today, because Easter weekend and so forth, we're doing it today. It'll be back Monday next week. We are so close now to 6,000 subscribers. We need about another 30 today. So if you can, click that subscribe button, help us out, drag us over the line. We put a lot of clips out on social media too. And if you're listening to the podcast, to the show, every afternoon we put it out on Rover, across wherever you find your favourite podcasts, Google, Apple Play, Spotify, all of those. Thank you so much for your support. But on YouTube, click the subscribe button, like, share, do all of that. Leave us a comment. Feedback Friday. Comment Corner is going to be back Friday week, of course, because we've got another long weekend ahead of us. Anzac, as you know. Tony Johnson highlights the show today. As well as that, Murray Mexted joins us. And also Kurt Eklund from the Blues. What a matchup that they have got, facing the Reds with some injury problems too. No Papali'i, no Clark, and Bowden Barrett sick, hasn't trained all week, but on the plane to Brisbane. That match, of course, I think the highlight of the round. It is Friday night as well. So you can watch the Waratahs and then watch that. That's pretty much sorted, isn't it? Anzac Day night. We begin the show the same way every day.
Marty sermons brought to you by WebWonks. Generate online leads with WebWonks. Doctors for your Google data.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
So what do we learn after another round of Super Rugby then? I know it all wrapped up on the weekend. Plenty to talk about, though. We learned that the Crusaders and the Chiefs will be the top two seeds. They're going to be hosting home semi-finals, unless something dramatic happens over the next few weeks. I know it's not a given, but I say it not because they're head and shoulders above every other team in the comp, because I don't believe that either of them are. Are they both playing their best rugby at the moment? No. But they are the two most consistent sides, which is equally important. They keep on winning. Both teams are also well capable of being beaten. I think kind of we've seen that with their form over the last few weeks, even though it hasn't happened. But yeah, you look at them and you think, they still seem to me to be the two best teams. How about this though? The Blues, I'm starting to think, could well be the most dangerous team in this comp right now. And I know they've got some injuries going to the Reds. And again, they didn't win on the weekend. And they've only won 3 games out of 9 played. And I did call them Georgia, and I did relegate them from the rankings. But both the Chiefs and now the Crusaders, after the weekend, know how lucky they were to burgle their last 2 results against the defending champs. And the Blues should be gutted they lost in Christchurch. Just like that 1-point loss in Hamilton, they should be spewing. I thought they dominated every stat they needed to against the Crusaders, except obviously the one that really counts, the scoreboard. And hopefully for their sake, or if you are a Blues fan, another bungled loss only fuels them further to somehow claw their way into the playoffs. Because if they do, no one's going to want to play them. The Reds should be well wary this weekend. Again, the Blues might have only won a third of their games, but they do look so much more like the team that won last year than at any other time in this comp. This team, no one wants to play in the playoffs, especially that bunch of frauds called New South Wales. How do you go from conceding 102 points to the Canes and Moana, and then you beat top of the table Chiefs, and then you follow that up a week later by losing to the Drua, who'd only won 1 game all season? Well, the answer is because you're a fraudulent side, because you're not as good as you think you are. The Highlanders and Hurricanes, meanwhile, are still alive, barely. Mathematically, both can still make it. I mean, there's enough games left, but neither look good enough to do so. The Canes, again, will consider themselves very unlucky. They had the chances to win in Perth. They should have won that game, but isn't that really the story of their whole season to date? We consider ourselves unlucky. Well, change it then, mate. The Highlanders were simply outclassed by the Chiefs. They don't look likely. Moana scoreless versus the Brumbies. The last 2 matches, they've only mustered 17 points. That was against the Blues, then kept scoreless. It's starting to look way too far for them now also. But this round for me is now all about the Blues and the potential of what they can do from here on out. They still have to play the Force and the Waratahs at Eden Park. Mark those 2 down as wins already. Let's call it now. From what I saw Friday night in Christchurch, Georgia/the Blues are back. Even though they lost, I still believe they're on track to beat both those Aussie teams and steal a playoff spot. Mark the moment. The Blues will make it.
Devlin.
It's time, Lachlan, for our weekly Super Rugby rankings after round 10 last week. Again, people, these are the vibe rankings. These are the how we feel it rankings. These are, I'm looking at it and then I'm absorbing it kind of rankings. The only real rankings are the points table, which goes Chiefs 32, Crusaders, Brumbies equal 28, Reds 23, Force 22, New South Wales 21. Again, 4 Aussie sides in the top 6, and it's been like that since I think round 4. Canes at 7, Blues 8, Highlanders 9, all 3 teams on 17 points. MP, Moana Pacifica in 10th, 15 points. The Drua 11th, and they have 11 points. So, my rankings this week are the Drua still at 11, great win versus New South Wales, only the second of their season, but that's 8 in a row now at La Toka. No, they're not going to make the 8, but as I said last week, they're going to win some games between now and season's end. Number 10, Moana Pacifica. And Lachlan, I'm not going to say the wheels have fallen off, but the last 2 losses have really hurt this team. They were on a mini revival before that Blues game, but suddenly have become very unstuck, especially on attack. 17 points versus the Blues, blanked by the Brumbies. No playoffs for them either. So I think we can discount or count out MP and the Drua. No disrespect, but neither of them are going to make it.
Yep. Nothing to add there. I agree with that. I think they're, which has been, the case for the last couple of years, unfortunately.
Yeah. They did have a revival, and I had a big hope on, but that, the 17 points over the last 2 games, something has gone awry in terms of the attack. At 9, I've got the Highlanders. We seem to say this every week. You want this team to be better. Their squad is simply not strong enough to compete week in and week out, especially when they get some injuries. Again, I think they're going to win another 1 or 2 before the round robin wraps up, but they aren't making the top 6. I'm going to call that now. Is that out of order?
The Highlanders?
Yeah.
No, I think
they're on 17 points, same
Chiefs.
as the Blues and the Canes.
I think the Chiefs' loss pretty much hammered that home because all these losses to the Australian teams have caught up with them that they have to beat the New Zealand teams, and as much as that's much more doable than people are making it out, that's a big ask.
Okay, here's the first big mover. Last week I had the Waratahs in at 6. This week they're 8. I did warn you last week, Lachlan, that their win versus the Chiefs was an outlier, not a reflection of anything to do with how good they might be. The real New South Wales went and lost to the Drua, just like they were smacked by the Hurricanes and Moana. They are not making the playoffs either. Bank it. They are 8th. I've relegated them to 8th.
Okay, a couple of things. You've said a lot there. I think it's unfair to say that win over the Chiefs was an outlier, because if that's the case, how many different outliers have there been this season? There's got to be a point where all these strange results are no longer outliers, and it's all part. Hold up, no. An outlier is when there's 1 or 2 of them, not when there's about 6 or 7.
That's their outlier.
Point being that this competition this year has delivered results like this, so it's not an outlier. It means that the competition is even, and that it's hard to obviously go to Sydney and beat the Waratahs. Now, if the Waratahs aren't making the top 6, as you say,
I'll explain.
Well, then who is?
Okay,
you've got the Force in there.
Let me come. No. 7. The Force. Last week I had them at 7. They stay at 7. Half a width of the post, and they would have lost that fantastic home record. Would have been broken by a pretty average Hurricanes outfit, who again, Hurricanes aren't a bad side. And the Force aren't a bad side, but they're not quite good enough to be a force, if you know what I mean. So I think that both them and New South Wales miss out. I think neither of those 2 teams make it.
So who makes it then?
I'm about to tell you as my top 6 unfolds.
No, because I'm looking at the top 6 now. So you've got the Blues in there. I know you've got the Blues in there. Then who's your 6th team? Who is it?
In at 6, the Hurricanes.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that, look, despite that stop-start season and the inconsistency, they never seem to get any traction going. I still think that they're better than all those ranked below them, and the next 2 weeks are going to dictate their season. They got the Brumbies away, then they got the Chiefs. And somehow they've got to win one of those.
How? the Brumbies are firming. It's probably
this
up
is
there with the Chiefs and the Crusaders.
I'm doing JD5. I'm throwing the Hurricanes a Hail Mary.
This is your silly. You don't talk about JD5 when I'm wearing this cap right here. Super Bowl champion cap.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Look
and
at
you
the
only
logo.
put 50 points on us in the NFC Championship game.
The Hurricanes are away to the Brumbies
Yes.
and home to the Chiefs.
Yes.
Based on what suggests they are going to win those two games? You're talking about vibes. You know, you've got to feel something with vibes. You've got to sense something. What are you sensing here? They just drew with the Force in the game where they were the better side. Should have won. Now, granted, they did... They destroyed the Waratahs. Totally just
That's why.
a few weeks back.
There's no
but
way.
then the next week, the Waratahs beat the Chiefs.
Okay, that was the outlier. The Waratahs in their last four games.
We've established there's
their
no
last
outliers.
4 games
We've
had
established
got
that.
dicked by both the Hurricanes and Moana, beat the Chiefs and then lost to the Drua. That's the real New South Wales side there. They've won 1 out of the last 4 games.
What's their record? No, what's their record overall?
5-4.
5-4.
And
where
the Hurricanes
are they sitting? And where are they sitting right now? You yourself
Sixth.
say, you yourself say
the points table doesn't lie.
It doesn't lie.
Okay, 6th they are with 21 points. I know the Hurricanes are sitting there on this logjam of 17 points. I have no logic to my argument whatsoever. I do not have a sound base to my argument, but I think the Hurricanes are a better side. And
so essentially, you'll admit you're making a wild claim without any evidence.
you could define it like that.
No, that is what you're doing.
Okay, but this is my top 6. Okay, in at 5 is the Reds. Now I've got the Blues.
5.
I've got the Blues and the Reds at 4 and 5. I think the Blues are going to win this game. And then, of course, their injuries came along to Papali'i and to Clark, and I don't know whether Bowden Barrett's going to be fit, but I still think that the Blues are a better side than the Reds from what I saw against the Crusaders. The Reds didn't play. They drop a spot in my rankings because I think they're about to be beaten by a side that I've put above them, and I think that the Reds will make the top 6, but I do believe that the
That's
Blues,
a bold call.
The Blues are a better team. The Brumbies and the Reds are the only 2 Aussie sides that are going to make the top 6.
I'm looking at the schedule here. I can't get past what you're saying about the Hurricanes here. So the Waratahs, to be fair,
might be the outline.
They are away to the Brumbies.
Yes.
And then they're home to the Reds.
You keep bringing this up, mate.
So
you keep bringing it up.
So to be fair, being the devil's advocate, to be fair,
God, who talks about fixture
the Waratahs could go
Doing
0-3 in their next 3 because they are away to the Brumbies, home to the Reds, home to the Crusaders. But as we know, they are tough to beat at home, and if they can beat the Chiefs at home, well, they can certainly beat the Reds and the Crusaders at home because they did beat the Brumbies at home.
New South Wales are going that way.
The Western Force, please. They have the Chiefs on Anzac Day, and then the Blues, and then the Brumbies. 3 damn tough games.
Okay.
Fiji and a draw on the road. You talked down the Waratahs on their trip to Fiji, and you were right, to be fair.
That's right.
The Enduro won that.
Yeah.
But boy, the idea of going to Fiji, it's impossible to win there according to Martin Devlin.
Well,
and then they finish up against the Waratahs.
Okay, so...
who they lost to already.
This is why I have the Blues at 4. Georgia are back, baby. They play like they did versus the Crusaders, and they'll win most, if not all, of their games left. It seems ridiculous to say so when a team has only won a third of their games.
So why didn't you say this when the Waratahs beat the Chiefs? Why didn't you say any of this?
Because the Waratahs are not a quality side. The Blues are a quality side. They're a champion side. They're defending
look
champs.
at the Waratahs roster. Look at their coach.
But they've won nothing. They were last year,
they're 5-4.
They're a bunch of frauds, mate.
But
They're
the
only
Blues
winning at home.
No, hold on. I'm not talking about last year.
You take the word Sydney off the stadium,
If we were talking about last year, then you would have been banging the drum saying the Blues are going to be coming back all year, but you haven't.
I'm back on the blue train. I'm on the blue train.
There's no consistency
I'm on
here.
the blue train. This is the vibe. This is what I'm feeling. I think that blue side... And the Reds game is the crucial one. If they win that, they win out from there. And they play the Force and they play New South Wales at home. They play New South Wales in their last game at home at Eden Park. They play the Force at Eden Park. They will end both those teams' season.
I agree that the Crusaders' performance was massively encouraging for the Blues. That was
they should have won. They should have won the
game. They should have won the game. But they didn't.
No,
because they didn't.
No.
So
but they should have beaten the Chiefs, as you keep banging on about in Hamilton.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I do bang on about that
Yes.
because they played really well against the Chiefs. And the Brumbies game early in the year at Eden Park, they probably should have won that. They were up 8 points on the Chiefs at halftime in round 1. A lot of games. So as much as the Blues, you could talk about injuries, which I've been talking about.
Georgia are back.
There's some games that they should have closed out.
Are back.
I still maintain that the injury toll has.
Okay, let's go to number
toll.
3. 3, and then I've got a first equal. Brumbies are the best Aussie side.
Hey, mine's first equal too.
Yeah, no question. Brumbies are the best Aussie side. Okay.
Yes.
And That was as TJ has said on the podcast, mightily impressive performance against Moana to shut them down, to blank them out like that. This is a Brumby side, and the key to it beating them for New Zealand sides is you've got to get the bloody ball, because if they get the ball, they can just squash the game. They bore the game into a rolling maul. So I worry about playing them in Canberra, especially. This is what the Hurricanes are up against this weekend. But
they'll win according to you.
I'm feeling number one, first equal. I know the Chiefs are the top on points, but I actually think the Crusaders and the Chiefs, to me, are just on an equal plane. The game where they meet each other down in Christchurch, I think it's round 13. It's a couple of rounds away.
It's a while away. A few rounds away.
That will dictate who actually gets the top seed. I'm absolutely convinced.
Yes.
And these two teams, even though, as you pointed out, and rightly so, the Chiefs haven't been mightily impressive over the last. Sure, they put a big score on the Highlanders, but they haven't been really impressive, have they? And the Crusaders have looked vulnerable, like they did against the Blues, where they could have lost that game.
You're saying things that I've been saying for weeks, but you yourself wouldn't say.
I'm being reasonable about this. They're both 7-2, and they are consistent, and they keep winning, and you've got to give them ups for that.
They're both 7-2. They both look good. They've both had a couple of stumbles. They both, I think, are far off their best.
Yeah.
They both have another gear in them, which makes that match between them in Christchurch in a few weeks really exciting. You can't split them. The only thing that could split them is the fact that the Chiefs beat them, but I think when they did, the Crusaders weren't as good as they are now. They had a few injuries at the start of the year. Those guys came back, and they've sort of started to find their groove, the Crusaders.
So say it after me. Blues, top 4. Warriors, top 4.
Oh, why are we bringing this? The
Warriors are top 4.
Rugby.
That's fact. The Warriors are top 4.
They are top 4.
There you go. And the Blues are going to be top 4.
Finish in the top 4.
No, they'll finish in the top 6.
But
I've got them at 4.
Right now is bold, but I think that performance on Friday against the Crusaders, that beats anyone.
Come on, Georgia.
This is the DSPN.